So a little over a year ago, I started a boys group here at the middle school, and the official name of the group is Boys Will Be ... group for boys who want to live lives full of feeling, play, and purpose. And those three things are really important to me, for all of us. I think in particular for young men right now. And when I was in middle school, I would have loved to have a space like this to come together and get support, share stories, my feelings, where I feel most like myself, and find a sense of play and joy in my life, and who I want to be, like what kind of character I'm trying to develop, and how I want to contribute to my community. Right? I think there's a space that's needed for that in our schools, where we focus not just on, getting ahead or grades, but also on character and contribution.
How has Boys Group helped you?
It has helped me figure out a lot of problems and how they're normal.
I feel like I have a place where I can just let it all out.
It's sort of helped me to grow up better.
So in terms of nuts and bolts, we meet Friday mornings for about 30-45 minutes. We have a snack. We share and discuss. We share kind of like what's going on in our lives, where folks are at. Sometimes have some fun conversations along the lines of like favorite cereal. And then we get into some more serious stuff. Like we've talked recently, we've used just the format of like agree or disagree a lot recently. I've thrown out there things like agree or disagree. Sports are good for boys. And then everyone reflects on that and their different opinions and experiences, or agree or disagree. The internet is bad for boys. We've answered questions like, who is the strongest man you personally know? Which when boys respond to that question, it is hardly ever, someone who has power over someone else, or someone who has a lot of money or physical strength. But most often it's about relationship, men in their lives who have taken care of others, or supported a family or a community, or spent time with them. And so we hold that up as examples.
What's your favorite part of Boys Group?
When it was created, it helps kids around the school struggling with anger issues.
We get to speak about our personal feelings and how we feel about the world as a boy.
I really like how people can share their thoughts and communicate well here.
And no one's really judgmental in this space.
So we talk a lot about dominant versus counter stories in the group. The stories that we hear all the time that may or may not be true are the dominant stories. And then the counter stories are the stories that don't get told as often, but they may in fact be more true. And the whole group is centered on, the kids that come, the guys that decide to come. And so they came up themselves with some dominant stories and some counter stories. The idea that boys are rude, always on screens, into sports, loud and annoying, fight, are stupid, right? Not very, positive stuff. And then the counter stories, the stories that are actually just as true, maybe more true, but don't get told very often, right? And this is, again, coming from the group of boys that come to the group, that boys can be kind, caring, funny, respectful, energetic, wanting to impress people, jealous, go out of their way to help others, stand up for others. They can feel sad and depressed sometimes, right? So there's this whole selection of feelings and engagement with the world and having fun, and that's certainly a much more aspirational or positive way to think about being a boy.
What do you think the Boys Group will look like in a year or two?
And I'm hoping it will spread across the Hartford districts, and it'll become kind of like a thing that people like to do.
I think that there'll be more fundraising for the group. There'll be field trips and stuff like that.
So, bringing us back to the name of the group, Boys Will Be ... there's a lot of in our kind of popular culture, boys will be boys, right? Or to make excuses, for who we are and how we are, or boys don't cry, or that kind of stuff. But, the idea being that, there's an openness, there's possibility for boys to tell their own stories about who they are, who they want to be, and what it means to be a boy in a way that's focused on relationship, but positive and expansive, using strength to be part of a community with purpose and serving others.